Hi, I'm Emily Bierman, General Manager of Performing Arts at Johnson County Community College. Welcome to New Dance Partners, a Retrospective. New Dance Partners is a project we participated in for several years now, where we commission new works in dance for our local Kansas City dance companies. The works you'll see tonight on this film premiered on the stage of Yardley Hall in 2014, 2017, and 2019. You'll also see interviews with the artistic directors of the dance companies who participated and the choreographers that worked with them to create the dance. Without the partnership of these amazing companies, New Dance Partners would not be possible, so thank you. Moderating tonight is Michael Utoff, Artistic Advisor for New Dance Partners and also Executive Director at Dance St. Louis. I'll be back a bit later, so please sit back and enjoy this wonderful showcase of contemporary dance. Take it away, Michael.
We're here with Robin Moses, choreographer, and Mary Pat Henry, who is the Artistic Director of Williams Henry Contemporary Dance, one of the two components of our New Dance Partners Association for JCC. Robert, it's been some time that I've seen you, and it's very beautiful that Mary has been excited about having your work shown as part of this process. And what we would like to know is a little bit, since it seems that you work in a totally different way that the other choreographers do, tell us a little bit about your experience, how you came about with doing what you're doing, and how did the dancers respond to it?
My process is always, I think, different in that I may bring something to the table that I've used before, a mechanism or a way of generating material, but the process itself is always different, and I let the work unfold within the time that I'm there. So I came and I was just remembering, Mary Pat was something to remember, that I came in and I gave them, I think, maybe a series of 60 gestures, I guess, and which is a fair amount of material to pick up sort of immediately. And what that just does is that kind of lays a salad there. It's sort of the way that you put down the appetizer to sort of figure out what the rest of the courses or what's going to follow with the rest of the courses. It gave me the ability to see what the range of the dancers were, their inclinations, their proclivities, all of those things sort of helped me make decisions about where I might go.
And Mary Pat, for you, I mean, obviously it's a trust that you and I have, that when somebody comes to work and that we ask them to work with you, that you feel that it's going to be something special. And in this case, we both hit the mark. So how was your response to how he worked and how your dancers absorbed all of what he was giving them?
Well, my dancers, the thing that's good about them is the more you challenge them, the more they come back to meet that challenge, and they want to, and they were hungry. So Robert was always putting things forward. I have to tell you, though, you fried their brains with the 60 gestures, because he didn't just give it, he'd go 1, 2, 3, and they'd all be in a line hitting the gestures. So they would be panicking and practicing and all of that. And then I realized that also you get so involved in making sure you're doing the movement that is asked that you don't have time to think, and it allows you to stay really open. I know that's what Robert's talking about, and it makes you stay raw. You have to be open enough to make those kind of mistakes. And what I loved about it, the gestures, because gestures, don't you think, like in the last 10 years, everybody does gestures, and I get sort of like, why is there a gesture in this movement? But yours were really integrated into the flow of the movement or the meaning of the movement. And that's why when you watch your work, you don't notice they're doing that many gestures, because it was married so beautifully and intricately into the concept and the movement.
You called it heart thieves, which gives you it's almost a literal thing. And you know, audiences, when they come to the theater, if you give them a title, they expect to see the title. You know, how did you convey that thought, or was the thought sort of an abstract of what the movement was, or how do you feel it?
Well, I think it's on its way to abstraction, but I don't think it's there. I think when you see two human beings on stage touching, that you automatically pull something from that, even if something's meant to be abstract. You see two people touching, you know, there's a relationship there in some way. I do at sometimes want you to be pulled in. There's a portion where one of the dancers kisses another on the cheek, and then on the neck, and then on the waist, and then behind the knee. And the idea there is that there's going to be something special about where I go next, right? Whatever that thing is. And then at some point, that dancer, she, in that case, falls into his arms. And so that, without pantomime particularly, sort of supported that idea. And at the end of the piece, where the young man, the dancer, is standing in that place where his arms are extended, and she has her hand on his chest, it's like his hand is in her heart. And that idea of the heart thieves is that that we have, if we're lucky in life, we will have our hearts stolen by someone.
So with that sense of awe, let's go and see Heart Thieves, your great work with Williams Henry Contemporary Dance Company. for this section, we are lucky to have Catherine Meredith, our choreographer, and Mona Sterling Enna and Jeremiah Sterling from Sterling Dance. And for a very special kind of work, because I remember when we commissioned Catherine to do the work, the first thing that I told her, I said, you're going to be working with a company only of women. And it turned out to be the best thing that could have ever happened, because not only did we encounter the situation of Me Too that was going on throughout the country, but the concept that you came up was so powerful and so eloquently put together that I came out of there thinking, boy, I know what I'm doing. So it was very nice. So tell me a little bit about how did you feel when I asked you to do it, and then I told you you're only going to work with women. How did your process go?
So I'd actually just come off doing the work with all women. So when you told me that, I was happy. The piece I had just done was called Aftermath, and it was about, women and just sexual harassment and all of that. And so when I was doing my research on Sterling, and as well as the area, Kansas, and where I was coming from, Cleveland, I started to kind of align things, and I thought, wow, here's Amelia Earhart, a hero for so many women, very well known, and she's from Atchison, Kansas, and here I am going to Olathe, and I thought, well, let me do some more research, and so that kind of got the ball rolling. And what I discovered was the stories of all of these just amazing trailblazing women that their only desire was to fly. And all of the obstacles they came across, the misogyny, it was staggering. And I thought these are important stories that need to be told about women, from a woman. And so it was kind of a perfect marriage to be partnered with Sterling Dance Theater. And I'm grateful.
And Mona and Jeremiah, what did you guys think of the idea when she brought it up to you? And because it's been very interesting to watch how you've developed within the New Dance Partners Project, and how you've been able to bring into the project elements of scenic elements that not everybody else is doing, and it separates you from it. And in this case, it was actually vital for the piece.
Mm-hmm. I was so excited when I heard about the idea. First of all, I love history. So I had, already read, about Amelia Earhart in the past. And then because of our company mainly focuses on storytelling productions, it was just a perfect match. And I was so touched by the idea that Catherine chose Amelia Earhart, somebody from the region. And I just thought that was so sweet and so thoughtful, like someone who would connect with our audience as well.
It really was a perfect match. And because Mona is such a passionate costume designer, when Catherine brought up, I need 18 flight outfits from the 1920s, we knew it was kind of a match made in heaven when we went up into our costume department. And we just happened to have 20 fly jackets for this. So we were halfway there. We knew it was special, but it was really a profoundly successful partnership.
And you, Catherine, coming in to working with them, not knowing much about the company other than when you have read or speaking to them, how did you encounter the dancers? How did they respond to you, and how much did they give you in turn to create the piece? So,
and I credit Jeremiah and Mona for creating an atmosphere. I do believe it comes from the top down, and they were all so welcoming. Probably one of the best experiences that I've ever had walking into a situation. Anytime, as freelance choreographers, when you're always going and moving around, and every day every time that first day is the same. You have this kind of anxiety about walking into the situation, and are they going to, receive me well? Are they going to dive in? And every single one of the dancers, I'd ask them to, jump 20 times in a row, and they were like, yes, let's do it again. So well disciplined, just a loving group of women, and I really miss them very much. I miss all of you.
Tell me again, what music did you use? Because I wasn't sure.
Josephine Baker, Dinah Washington, and with Max Richter. And I used recordings that I obtained from the International Women's Aerospace Museum in Cleveland. So the voices of Amelia Earhart and Louise Baden. Some of it is muffled because the tapes are quite old. So you may not hear every word, but you'll get the feeling from the movement. So.
And now, please sit back and enjoy Fly Girls.
Within itself, this industry embraces many of those scientific accomplishments which yesterday seemed fantastic impossibilities. The pilot, winging his way above the earth at 200 miles an hour, talks by radio telephone He sits behind engines, the reliability of which, measured by yardsticks of the past, is all but unbelievable. I myself still fly a watch motor, which has carried me over the North Atlantic, part of the Pacific, to and from Mexico City, and many times across this continent. Aviation, this young modern giant, exemplifies the possible relationship of women and the creations of science. Although women as yet have not taken full advantage of its use and benefits, air travel is as available to them as to men.
Here's the end of record-breaking flight from Los Angeles to New York. It's 10th of December 1930 as plane taxis to a slow stop at Roosevelt Field. And who steps out of the plane but one of America's leading woman flyers, Ruth Nichols of Cincinnati. Mom's plenty proud of her daughter, too. Ruth's flight established coast-to-coast record of 13 hours, 22 minutes, which was 1 full hour better than mark set by Lindy.
Ladies and gentlemen, we've brought you into the main dining room of the advertising property room, 35th Street and Park Avenue. You hear the voices of women today. It's a rather unusual occasion. The room is full of soothing women, women who have accomplished great things already in life. And the lesson is being given to the guest of honor who leads the table with already won the immense prize of 100 transcontinental airways, won by Nectar, 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 won by Nectar.
She has achieved greatly to so shown to the world that woman may win an outstanding place for herself in mankind's newest high endeavor, the conquest of the air. By her courage and self-sacrifice, she has established the place for woman in aviation.
And then she's off for higher skies than any woman before her has ever seen. Miss Nichols is aloft for 1.5 hours. Then brings the big Scarlet and cream-colored Lockheed Vega in for perfect landing at Jersey Field. Fighting fatigue in thinning air, Miss Nichols' daring flight is huge success. For 10 days later, National Aeronautic Association accepts her climb of nearly 30,000 feet as an official record. And Miss Nichols asks for many laurels as one of America's finest flyers.
If I should fall, after joining the plane, I have this motion to do. And I also have been positive that knowing the type of person Amelia is, that it was math
here with Jennifer Owen, director of Owen Cox Dance Group, and Gregory Dolbashian, one of our great choreographers that we have been able to engage in our new dance partners. And welcome you both. Obviously, the circumstances that we're facing today brings us actually back together again, which is nice. So Gregory, tell me a little bit about how you came about to be inspired the way you did for this particular piece.
There is a strong sense of our necessary ability as people to keep relating to what is around us and who is around us. I think so much of what happens in your life is dictated by who and what you place yourself around. And there's a lot of both empowerment in terms of the choices you make in doing that, but also your awareness in terms of when you're recognizing that you're being invited into certain elements of growth or challenge or risk or discovery. So I always hope and aim for, not just with this piece, but every piece that I create, that there's just a deeper window into our capacity to exist and the impact that we make with the opportunity that we do have to exist.
It's obvious that I'm a fan of yours because it's not the first time we worked together. I was very impressed and surprised how you use the environment, which is the stage, but you sort of dismantle it somewhat to create unexpected illusions for the audience. But more important, in this particular work, you composed the music too.
Yes, I did have a hand in the soundscape. Some of those sounds that I used were also found and borrowed from other composers, but then there were, yes, some parts that I also created myself. I hesitate to call myself a composer because there's so many great composers out there. So I just enjoy sound and rhythm, and I enjoy putting different textures of sound and rhythms together to see what can come out of it. So I find too that when you get the chance to work that way, it kind of gives you like different kind of authorship over what you're doing. So like I find that the discoveries I make with the sound help my compositional mind with the movement and vice versa.
So Jennifer, a question for you. I mean, as part of our process of new dance partners, you and I obviously have developed a trust on what persons I'm able to bring to you. And I think that we have been very, very lucky as to what over the 8 years that we've been working together, you have produced. And in this case, the work with Gregory. How did you respond to the possibilities that he brought forward? And how did you approach your dancers to look at Gregory's work?
Well, one of the cool aspects about New Dance Partners is the opportunity to work with these accomplished choreographers that come in. The dancers are always so excited to have this opportunity to work. This past year with Gregory, he has such a positive energy, and I feel like the dancers have quite a bit of experience under their belts as well. So they're always eager to try out new approaches and learn from the choreographers that they have the opportunity to be with in the studio.
Because it's a great compliment to you that as we've worked through the years, we have brought different genre choreographers, and the groups of people that you have been able to bring together have totally given themselves to the artists and created incredible worlds to admire.
I'm very fortunate that the dancers that I get to work with Owen Cox Dance Group are very trusting, and they like to be together in the studio. And I think that element translates well when a new choreographer comes in, that they embrace his or her approach. And with Gregory, he gave a lot of kind of artistic freedom to the dancers as well. And he also, not just about the movement and the quality, but he spent quite a bit of time just talking with the dancers. We had some very serious heart-to-heart conversations in the studio. So I feel that all of those discussions certainly lent themselves well to the piece and gave the piece greater meaning, not just for the dancers, but then for the audience to witness it, because it's not just about movement, it's about connection. And especially now when we're not able to connect in person or in the studio, that gives it that much more meaning and value. So.
Yeah. But now let's stop and let the audience see what happened in those incredible 2 weeks. So here it is, Assembly by Gregory Dolbashkin with Owen Cox Dance Group. our last attraction is very special. We have Kansas City Ballet and Devin Carney, the artistic director, and Emily Berman, my partner in crime for the New Dance Partner project. And I think Devin was very interested in finding out, and I think you as an audience are too, how exactly did we come up about making this thing happen?
That was a wonderful partnership that we came up with. I think we were just trying to look for a way to collaborate with you at Dance St. Louis, and you were doing a similar program called New Dance Horizons. Our program at the Carlson Center has always had a history of commissioning new work, but many times we were doing that for companies that were based in other places. So as soon as they premiered the work on our stage, they would leave us and the work would go with them. And wherever they performed it, we received, a little recognition, but it was gone from our community. So when you and I were talking, it was important to me to be able to create work for local artists and local companies. So that's what we did with New Dance Partners. We approached the three main dance companies at that time that we were working with: Owen Cox Dance Group, Williams Henry Contemporary Dance Company, and of course the Kansas City Ballet, which is the flagship dance company in Kansas City. And all of you were so wonderful and were willing to work with us to make this happen. So in 2013, we staged our first New Dance Partners performance. And from then, we've just been rolling along. And the only year that we've not had the project was 2016, when we were doing a renovation in the theaters.
Yeah, I mean, from my end, it was such a blessing to get to know you and what you stood for. Because like Devon is now the artistic director. I was an artistic director for almost 40 years before that time. And I knew that the most important part and lifeblood of a company was the creation of new works. And at the same time, I knew that boards of directors were the most against it, because they were favored to do the Nutcracker 30 times a year. So I felt that this was a good way, if the companies trusted us, to give them an opportunity to take risks, to realize that, yeah, there was a great investment on the part, because they have to put the dancers to work with this choreography, but that they might be able to, because somebody was gifting them the work, do something that they might otherwise not do themselves. So that's how we came about, Devon, to reach the Kansas City Ballet, and you are now an integral part of this incredible family.
And very happy to be so, Michael, actually. Thank you. It's really great, your forward-thinking ideas about this. And I think, and you can correct me if I'm wrong on this, Emily and Michael, but I have never seen anything like this. I think it's a very unique project that you developed, and it's quite amazing how many, when you count it all up, and I know, Emily, you know the number of how many world premiere commissions have happened thanks to New Dance Partners, which, the word is getting out there about the uniqueness of this project and the annual event we're able to have with you guys. But I do want to say just a big thank you for your visionary ideas about this. It's made a big difference. I know it for sure in the Kansas City dance community, and it's also made a difference in the American dance community as well, because of all the choreographers who have been engaged and have come to Kansas City and worked with Kansas City dance companies. So it's a win-win situation all around.
Yeah, that's how I feel about it. I feel like we all win with this thing. And after this year's performances, it'll be 25 commissions. So that's something not a lot of presenters can certainly say, and dance companies sometimes have to work for a long time to achieve that as well. So we're really proud of it, and it's been great to be a part of the dance community in Kansas City in a bigger way than we would have been otherwise. So thanks, Devon. Thanks for saying that.
Mutually.
Now let's stick to what's going to happen now. I mean, we are going to be viewing one of the works that Emily and I commissioned during the past 6 years. And tell us a little bit about your impressions of the work and how your relationship with Matthew was.
Sure.
Matthew Neenan, who is a choreographer.
He was somebody I knew since a child, actually. We were in performances together at Boston Ballet when I was a principal dancer. He was in the school, and he went his own way and had an incredible career, and is still, as a dancer, and is still having an amazing career as a choreographer. He's somebody who I had a desire to get here for quite a long time. And it was really exciting to be able to actually know we're finally going to do something together, thanks to New Dance Partners. And, he came up with the idea of the music. There was the creative process, as always, is never the same twice with any choreographer. And his first and foremost idea was what the concept was, and he found the music that he felt would match that, which is really exciting, with some music by Philip Glass. It actually is quite contemporary for Philip Glass, which when he played it for me, I was kind of shocked that it was Philip Glass. And that's what's exciting, even in the music, even though it's not performed live, the music, Philip Glass is reinventing himself. And that's what was exciting to hear in this music, is that he too is pursuing new pathways. And it's an interesting ballet, which is it's about community, and it's about the different factions, if you wish to say, in community, and how, the hope and the goal is that there is a combined community effort to move humanity forward, holding arm in arm. The costume colors by Lisa Choles, really beautiful costume. The costume colors wound up being blue and red. And Matthew said this was not intentional, but he said when Lisa chose those colors that he felt like, okay, we'll just continue to make a statement right now.
So with that love thought, why don't we stop and watch this incredible work, which is going to reach many more people because we're using now the video media. And Devon, thank you very, very much for being our partner. And we certainly look for many, many more years of collaboration. Emily, your vision, and you wanted me to be part of it. I appreciate it.
Thank you for your leadership,
the audiences,
too, Michael.
enjoy the work of Matthew Neenan in Kansas City Ballet.
Wow, what an evening, right? I am inspired every single time I see these works. Just amazing. And I don't know about you guys, but I'm getting a little homesick to hear applause and see performers take their bows. So we got to see that again tonight. I want to say thank you to the donors who made New Dance Partners possible over the years. They are the Kansas Creative Arts Industries Commission, the Richard J. Stern Foundation for the Performing Arts, Commerce Bank trustee, George Langworthy Sr., Mark Sappington and David McGee, and Adrian Kilbride. A big thank you to the dance companies who participated in New Dance Partners all these years. I said it before and I'll say it again. Without their faith in us and without their hard work to make these dreams a reality, it just wouldn't happen. So thank you so much. And thanks to all of you for tuning in tonight and watching New Dance Partners, a retrospective. If you are so inclined, please click the link in the description below and make a gift to the performing arts at Johnson County Community College. As you all know, arts organizations all over are going through a very difficult time right now. So your gift can help us stay strong when we come out on the other side of this, and we will come back very soon. So thanks for joining us. Thanks for supporting us. And we hope to see you in person very soon.